Hey everyone, welcome to the Dose of Desi. Today is January 29th, 2022. Very, very excited. And it is officially our fifth episode of the podcast, number 5. So joining me shortly will be my usual co-host, Udit, and can't wait to continue. I actually just saw him recently in person, which was fun. It was my birthday recently, so got to kind of hang out and celebrate, and so that was a lot of fun. Yeah, we're excited to continue the podcast in 2022. Before we jump in, make sure you let us know in the chat any of your thoughts, comments, questions. We'd love to hear from you throughout the podcast. So our last episode, we had a guest, our good friend Kim from Singapore. And it was so much fun talking to her. So shout out to Kim. You can go back and watch that episode on our channel as well. But we wanted to continue the fun with some more special guests tonight. Not just one, but 2 awesome special guests. You can see them here on screen with me. So for today's episode, the 2 special guests joining us are my good friends Katie and Karen from the That's PTX to Me podcast. Welcome, Katie and Karen.
Hi guys.
You just can't get rid of us.
Just can't.
I know it feels like one of our normal podcast episodes, except we're now live streaming it and talking about different things.
And now it's time for Song of the Week.
Yeah, right. Oh man, well, super excited. Katie is joining us here from South Carolina, and Karen is joining us from Oklahoma, and I'm here in Virginia. So we're just all over and ready to talk to you all. I've, of course, spoken to Katie and Karen lots over the years and seen them in person a few times as well, but have yet to really have, I feel like some more deeper conversations about some topics, and I think that would be really interesting to hear from you all. And so I'm very looking forward to the conversation tonight. Yeah, as I mentioned, we are all co-hosts of the That's PTX to Me podcast. We've all worked together for the Pentacon convention as well. They're both just such great friends. So super excited to jump in. So thank you both for joining me tonight.
Of course.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, why don't we get started and just start to get to know you all a little bit. Just tell us about yourself. Maybe we'll start with Katie here.
Well, I'm Katie. I am from South Georgia. I have 2 sisters. I'm the middle child, and that should tell you a lot. And also having 2 sisters close in age was a lot. Fun fact, I graduated with 35 people in my whole entire graduating class. So,
oh wow,
tiny little South Georgia town. And I moved to Greenville to go to Furman University here in South Carolina. And I got my bachelor's degree in elementary education and stayed on to get my master's and got a teaching job here in Greenville, a city that I love and have just never wanted to leave. I love it so much. I love teaching, love walking downtown. I go on a big walk with my yellow lab downtown most school days and on Sundays. And you can usually find me there or going to a good concert or trying to do a new baking recipe or something.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And we all know that you do love a good Broadway.
Oh, wow. Whoa. You are thank you. You just missed a huge part of the chunk that made me. Yeah, I am a huge theater nerd. I was a munchkin in 1st grade in The Wizard of Oz, and I have never looked back. I've loved theater. Could talk about it for hours. These 2 can attest to that. And if you would like me to, I can forever.
Nice. Well, we'll definitely delve into some of that more as well. But Karen, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself as well?
Sure. Yes, I'm Karen. I was born in Maryland, but I've been in Oklahoma since I was 4. I'm an only child, which is probably all that you need to know about me. Yeah, a little bit. The world revolves around me is kind of the way I like it, but also, don't look at me. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. Let's see. I am a wife, married to my high school sweetheart for, oh my gosh, like 17 years now. And we have a 10-year-old daughter, just turned 10 this month, and she's phenomenal. Let's see. I graduated from the University of Tulsa with a marketing degree, and I work at a software development company in Tulsa. And yeah, that's kind of the basics. As far as outside of work, I love to read, write, sing, paper crafting, a little bit of everything, really, just to keep my brain going all the time as much as possible.
She's underplaying the amount of things that she's phenomenally talented doing.
That's nice. I'm very I'm very bad at saying no to things, so I tend to get involved in a lot of things, and then if I find that I like them or that I'm good at them, then it's just kind of adds to my plate. So
yeah, nice. Yeah, well, we know for sure that you have many talents, which we will be diving into later as well. Also, I just found it kind of interesting, the fact that Karen's an only child.
Yeah.
Katie is a middle child.
Mm-hmm.
I am the older child.
You're an older child.
And Udit is a younger child.
Oh wow! Okay.
Sister. So we've covered everything.
We have the whole gang.
We do.
We're all here.
Do.
So that is very interesting.
Hey,
I wonder,
like,
yeah, he has an older sister. So,
that checks.
Yeah, it does check, right? Like, where is he? Like, and he's not going to get in trouble because he's the baby.
No, but also the fact that he's late and or whatever, and things change. Being the youngest child, he's like, everyone's gonna love me anyways. It's no big deal.
That's it.
Hassan, if you were late to something, you would never forgive yourself. You would be like, I'm so sorry. I messed up, and I would blame myself.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how well, I'm curious to see how well that tracks throughout the rest of what we talk about. How much there's actually, relevance to that. That's interesting. Yes. Well, that's super cool. Thank you all for telling a little bit about yourself.
Sure.
So want to delve into that a bit. So let's start with Katie. So Katie, you are an elementary school teacher, and I love seeing the things that you share and talk about with your students, and I just love the stories that you have as well. But I want to get to know a little bit about, well, first of all, if you can tell a little bit about what grades you teach, or if there's certain subjects or anything that you focus on, just anything about your experience, and what got you into that, what made you want to be an elementary school teacher?
Yeah, for sure. So I'll start at the beginning. Being a super young child, 5 or 6, I still had this kind of the only way I think you would describe it would be maternal, or just I wanted to help people that are younger than me. I was the 7-year-old at the church nursery who wanted to go help in the nursery, the little kids. I was
Cute.
Already wanting to do that. And I thought the coolest thing in the world would be being a camp counselor.
Mm-hmm.
I was just always very maternal, and I always loved helping people younger than me, or just helping people in general. They didn't have to necessarily be younger than me. And then that kind of turned into, I loved the moment that I could help make something click for another person, that light bulb moment. And specifically, you know, you can kind of do that in a lot of different ways. You help in a lot. Oh, look who it is.
Oh, look.
Oh,
Hi.
he's gonna show his face.
I'm working on it. I
Hey,
promise.
look at it. Yay!
Hi.
Amazing.
Hi. I owe you both like 10,000 apologies.
He's doing the like, it's okay, no worries.
It's fine. It's fine.
Oh,
We were
yeah.
just talking. Okay, so Hassan is an oldest child.
Mhm,
I'm the middle.
mhm.
Karen's an only child, and you're the
Youngest
You're
of
the
two.
baby.
So we've covered
Right.
all bases amongst the four of us.
Yes.
oh my gosh.
It's really good to see both of your faces, by the way. I'm
I
just
know. It's
very
been so
sorry for
long.
having quite a day today.
Wow.
So
Uh-oh.
Hey.
I got home, I put my coat on my hanger, and guess what? I'm having such a like weird day. I put the hanger on the rack, and the hanger broke. I'm like, this is a sign. It's just everything.
Okay.
So you're having that kind of day.
So
I'm
it's
having
like a
that kind of a
Monday.
day.
It's a Monday for you already. Okay.
Well, you know
cool.
what? Don't worry. Everything's about to change. You're seeing
Hey,
us again.
we're gonna have some fun.
We're here.
Yeah.
Don't worry. We haven't seen Udit's face since 2016.
2016. I know. That's crazy.
That's wild.
So
That is-
wait, Katie, you might have seen him. When was Allentown?
Oh, you're
That was
right. 2017.
2017.
Poor Udit's first pentatonic show in a freezing cold
Mm,
Allentown rain.
It
mhm.
was my first. Yeah, you're right.
Handled it like a champ.
Did I? I barely remember. I mean, I remember being there. I remember hanging out with you guys, but I don't remember much else.
Y'all had an umbrella. I remember being jealous.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we had just gone through little
Oh.
brief intros to everyone, and we're just starting to delve into Katie specifically and her being an elementary school teacher and kind of talking about, you know, why she got into that.
Yeah. So, very much always wanting to help people. And then specifically, the moment when I realized it was the teaching profession that I wanted is my like avenue of helping people was my third grade teacher diagnosed me with like a nonverbal like processing disorder in third grade. But the way that she presented it was, this is something that your brain is a little wired a little differently. And so these are kind of the areas that you struggle with.
Mhm.
So what we're going to do is figure out different pathways for you to get
Mhm.
around those. So you know what your weak areas are and how to kind of like adapt to figure that out. And just the way that she presented that to me, and it wasn't like a, you're not capable of this or whatever. Like I never felt like because of that I couldn't do something.
Mhm.
And I really decided that like I wanted to be that for other people. So teach, like I was very specific in where I applied. There are 61 elementary schools in my specific Greenville district, so we're a very large
Wow.
district. Yeah. And I really wanted to work in a Title I school, which means that our level of my student population level of like the parental income level is at a point where there are so many students who meet the criteria for free or reduced lunch that
Mhm.
we get federal funding for different
everybody. Yeah.
elements. And I very much, that was the demographic that I just felt very called to work with. Very different from the experience that I had as an elementary school student. I started in fourth grade. It was very eye-opening. There were fights, there was this, there was that, but at the same time, like I felt like I wasn't just there to teach math, science, and reading. Like I was teaching like how to look at somebody in the eyes when you're like introducing yourself, or being that person when they've had like a really rough night, like being that person, like if they just need to go like take a nap in the reading corner, like being that person. And then I moved down to third grade. I've been at the same school for 9 years. I've seen a lot of turnover in terms of teachers and administration and things like that. And there are a lot of people who are like, I mean, would you ever consider going to a school that's a little quote unquote easier? Because, you know, COVID brought its own challenges with how, you know, like the minute schools got shut down, you know, a lot of teachers were like, well, how are my kids going to learn this, this, or this? And I was like, I am my students' sources of meals for the day. Like, I know that a lot of mine probably don't get dinner, but like when they're with me, I know that they get breakfast and lunch, and I can sneak some food in their backpack for later. So that was my initial thought. And so, you know, just that brought its own challenges and Wi-Fi and things like that. And long story short, there have been a lot of challenges. It has not been an easy past 2 years with COVID, or teaching this group in general has not, but I feel like I am like the most consistency that a lot of these students have. Like, I've taught older siblings, and I'm now teaching like their baby siblings, or like I have fifth graders come back and show me their report cards because they know I care or want to come like help me do something. So my biggest and foremost like reason that I love what I do is because I want to be like a safe and consistent place for these little people who don't really have a lot of other ones. And so they know me a lot by knowing that I always have pentatonics playing in the morning. That's how we do our dance breaks. And, you know, I've had my classes be like, I've given like no homework the night of like the album release, because I was like, let's just listen to the songs, and you know, they have favorites, and that's just kind of like our thing that's different. And I don't know, it's exhausting. They'll see me when like a 10 o'clock at night or midnight for a release, and it's exhausting, but I love it.
Oh yeah.
It sounds like you're like that. Like in a way, like you provide this safe sense of safety and security for them, where you know you provide the consistency that kids especially need. You said you've been there for 9 years, right? I'm curious.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we have a staff of 84. There, I counted the other day. There's 11 of us that are still here from when I started.
Wow.
So.
And what makes you like stick to it? Like, is it the kids? Is it the experience? Like, what makes you want to stick to it?
100% the kids. Like, there's been so many. We've had a change in principal. Like, our school when I started definitely was a failing school, and we had a principal come in, and I mean, clean shit. Like, she was like, no, this is not how we're gonna run. And I struggled with that because it was the first time I was kind of questioned. Like, she would ask me why when I would do stuff, and I was like, don't question me. And so she really changed things and helped me and pushed me. And so, you know, those are some growing pains. And, you know, no teacher would say that things are easy right now. And a lot of teachers are this, that, or the other. And it is definitely the kids at the school. Like, they're just resilient. Like, it's crazy how resilient they are.
I feel like that's a reflection of your character, though.
Because that's what I was gonna say, because I feel like you are the consistent person in our friend group as well, as like being that safe place, and that like, I know if I come to Katie with this, that she's gonna help me spin it to where it's like more positive. And she just turned her camera off.
I know. I was like, I'm sorry.
No, that's her role for me in our friend group too. So if it's a perfect fit.
And I do feel like I totally get what you're saying about how it's important to like not just be there to teach the subject, to kind of be there for the students. Like I know, I feel like everybody maybe has that person. Like, I had a fourth grade teacher who was like that. He was always like just true to himself. And you know, fifth grade, actually, I had him for some subjects. He actually went on sixth grade. to this day, I'll do a live stream on my YouTube channel. He'll pop in the chat and be like, "Hey, how's it going?"
That's
Like, you know, like
awesome.
those people really
He
like
cares.
change you and are important to
Mhm.
you. And I feel like you do that
Mhm.
for a lot of kids, and
You
that's
do.
that's really,
That's
really cool.
nice. That's okay. I know this is a podcast where we like get into deep conversations or whatever, but like if can I
Even
say-
your dog's trying to comfort you and be like, look,
Yeah, I know this is my
I got
emotional
you. I
support
got you,
dog
fam.
apparently. But there's something called like the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and basically
Mhm.
okay. So of course, like it really hit home with me. Like if these kids like have no idea where they're sleeping tonight, or if like mom and dad were fighting, or if something happened in the neighborhood, or if they're hungry or starving, like I don't like they're not going to care about anything else I say all day long.
Yeah.
So like
Yep.
I need to make sure they feel safe, fed,
Mhm.
need, like all that stuff. And then we are all required to go well, 4 years ago we went through this training called Capturing Kids' Hearts, and the whole premise, it's like a classroom management style that the whole idea is you have to capture their hearts before you can capture their mind. I really want to become like a training consultant for this particular like group because I
Interesting.
think it's so cool. But yeah, I love like just like you were saying, like the fact that he still pops into your live streams and
Mhm.
like make sure he still is like checking in. Like I always say, once you're mine, you're always mine. And so you never know when I'm gonna be
Yes.
like checking back in on you and seeing how you're doing.
Hey, Katie, you've captured my heart. Okay, so
You captured mine.
So I'm curious. You know, we have a couple of these throughout this episode, but these little what if questions to throw a twist on things. So I know, you know, you're talking about elementary school and you know, teaching kids at that age. What if in your career path things were different and you taught higher education, whether, you know, we're talking high school or even up into like college or, you know, undergrad, graduate studies. How do you think that would change yourself, and what other skills would you need to be able to you know, be in that type of path? Like how would that affect you?
This is something I'm working on, but the first thing that comes to mind is I would have to be a lot more confident. Like I always say fourth is like as high as I'll go. Like the fact that my master's is in early childhood, like is for a reason. Like you start getting to middle school and high school, I feel like they would just walk all over me. They'd be like, I didn't do my homework. What are you going to do about it? I'd be like, nothing. You get an A. Like, it's fine. Like, I would really, really have a hard time with that. It might, I don't know. Parents, dealing with parents, Hassan, you guys are scary people, like when it comes to your kids. Like, you know what I mean? Like Karen, like if I've heard you talk about Lila's teachers, you know what I mean? Like y'all have very rightfully so expectations, and it's a huge responsibility to like be entrusted with like these y'all's children, like y'all's precious people, you know. And I feel, I don't know what's scarier, dealing with parents or dealing with like a high schooler, like, you know what I mean? But I think, sorry, I got on that tangent because I was saying that I would or thinking that I would probably need like a tougher exterior, like tougher skin. Possibly. That's gonna, I'm gonna go with that. I would need a tougher skin, 100%. Because like with 8-year-olds, I'm just goofy and crazy and fun, and I get away with it all day. Like it's great. It's fun.
So it seems like you are where you belong. The what if scenario doesn't even apply. It shouldn't even apply. Whatever.
Sorry if that didn't work out too well, but
oh no,
I think so. Okay, I will say though, 4th grade, I don't feel like that was like my age, like perfect age. Like I think the fact that Karen's daughter and I, like Lila and I, have this like really fun, like she's like my girl, but like she's right at that age where it's like they're so fun, they're so cool, and they're so impressionable that like I think it's so special that they're like learning so much from these adults and like how to be. And so I would say I kind of had that what if moment because I worked with just a grade earlier, so I kind of see that like like what Lila's like that maturity that you're seeing right now, Kieran, with her. It's like what they're going through. So it's kind of that trajectory. So now I kind of get to be at the beginning of that versus the end.
Okay.
Cool. I don't know, maybe.
Interesting. That's cool. That's cool.
That's pretty cool.
So let's talk about Karen a little bit, because Karen,
let's talk about Karen.
That's so funny.
She there's just so much to her. I mean, she's a mother extraordinaire.
Literally.
I mean, singer, writer. I mean, what
Lady
don't you do, Karen?
Writer.
What don't I do? I'm not much of a dancer. I know you got me beat there, Hassan. You're a better dancer than I am.
But you're a musician.
So...
Didn't you meet Chris like doing band?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
So she plays instruments?
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean,
nice.
Yeah, is that it? Yeah.
So
yes.
When it comes to those types of things, like what made you decide, what you wanted to turn into a career versus, what would just be hobbies to you?
That's an excellent question. I did go to, I've been doing, choir since I've been singing since I could talk, and then been doing band since 6th grade. And when I went I played alto saxophone and when I started, and then when I got to 7th grade, they let us, there were 500 saxophone players. So they're like, you can choose to do something else if you want. And I chose to do bassoon because it was weird and no one else wanted to do it. And got pretty decent at it. And my teachers were like, you can get a really good scholarship if you stick with this. And I was like, okay. So, and I did. It paid my way to TU. And when I got there, I was pretty unsure about everything. My grandmother was a nurse, and I decided, yeah, I can do that. I want to do that. And so I actually worked at a nursing home for not very long because it was extremely the wrong line of work for me. Like, I just don't have, I'm a little too sensitive, I think. I don't mind the blood and guts part, but it's the emotional toll. I absolutely could not be a nurse. So I was a nursing major for a semester and was like, no, absolutely not. And I actually considered at that point, I was like, well, my original dream was to be a band director, choir director. Maybe I should do music education. Maybe that's what I should do. And all of my friends that were in it, because as a band kid at a university, you're friends with all the music majors, and they were at a point, the older kids were like, we hate singing now. We hate playing now because it's all we do. And we hate the thought of teaching music theory because that's all we do is study theory. And I was like, I love this so much and I don't want to hate it. And so I was very scared to major in music for that reason. I wanted it to be something that I would love forever. So I moved on to the business school and got my degree in marketing. And at that point, it was sort of like, just get me graduated so that I can, get married and do whatever. Like at that, I wasn't super invested in my education at that point. As long as I could still do, what I wanted to do on the side. And fortunately, I've set myself up in a way where I can still do that and I can still sing, as much as I really want to. So yeah, I think there are definitely nights that I'm like, oh, how would I have handled COVID if suddenly I couldn't teach my band kids anymore? Or I couldn't do my choir anymore because, they can't compete because they can't breathe all over each other. Like I've thought about that and like, I saved myself that anxiety, but there are definitely moments where I'm like, I probably would have been pretty good at that if I had tried it, but
you didn't let it steal your joy. Like you protected your
absolutely.
joy
Yeah.
singing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the little bit of, theory and music history and stuff that I did have to take, like it definitely, I could even just feel that of just like, you're taking the fun out of it. I just want to play. I just want to have fun. I just want to, do the performances. I don't want to do 19 hours of practice a week so that I can do a recital. Like, I don't care. Like, so yeah, but I was actually just cleaning my garage out today and I found all my old like trophies from high school bands, like because I was an officer all the way through and like outstanding band student, like Do what?
You have like 400 trophies in
Well-
award. You said you got kind of good, and then was like, I got a scholarship.
So you've got
Yeah.
a museum in your garage, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I was looking at that going, yeah, if I'd actually practiced, I might have maybe gone somewhere with that. But again, I'd much prefer to perform than to practice. So yeah.
I'm curious to hear more. Like, what do you like to perform? Do you have kind of like I don't know what the proper word, like a niche that you like?
Like a niche? I mean,
Yeah.
most of what I do now, I lead the worship team at my church. So that's mostly what I do is praise and worship music. But I also have most of the guys in that band. We were just kind of messing around one day and just playing like secular music and old pop music. And we decided to make like a cover band. So we actually have a cover band that's played in town a few times. It's called Karen and the Dad Bods. And we are
That's awesome.
we're like, West Tulsa's like premier cover band, for whatever. But so we have a lot of fun. A couple times a year we get together, and my husband's the bass player, and like it's crazy. We have a lot of fun with that.
And the dad bods. That's a story I want to
Yeah.
hear. Like, how
Yes.
did you well, it's pretty. Some of it's kind of obvious how you came up with that name, but that's pretty
Yeah, we were just trying
Lila
to
in the
figure it out,
audience,
and
like, that's my mom, that's my dad.
yeah, like we were trying to balance our rehearsal time around all of our kids, and we were like, because we were all parents, and so that just came up that I was like, yeah, it's one mom and all these dads, and it just became Karen and the Dad Buds. So yeah,
Perfect.
but yeah, we're pretty awesome. I think we're gonna try and cut an album next year, so just for fun. But I would love to make some merch as well. I think that'd be fun.
I
But
would be the first one in line.
I know you would. Yeah. Yeah, we have fun. I don't really play as much as I used to. I don't have like, people don't just have bassoons because they're thousands of dollars. I always rented mine, so I don't have that anymore. But a few years ago, Chris and I both did, my husband, by the way, Chris, he was in band as well, played tuba, and we did this Philharmonic like play with the pros event where we got to get sheet music and go and sit with the Oklahoma City Philharmonic. And so that was extremely cool. But that was a little bit of a wake up call of like, wow, I'm around people who play all the time and I have not played in 10 years and this is a lot, but we had some fun with that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, we've gotten to do a lot of really cool things. I was in an a cappella choir in high school that won a bunch of competitions, and we got to travel to Europe and, be there for the Jubilee in Rome in 2000, and just like all these really cool experiences I got to do from doing music, and which is another reason why I was like, I want to keep those memories, like the good things, and not be focused on, did I get an A on my, music theory project or whatever. So yeah,
that's awesome. I've heard you're also a writer. Is this still accurate?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I love to write. I've been like making up little stories forever. It's one of my favorite things to do. And I don't know where to even go with this because I'm a fan fiction writer, which is kind of, I don't know, controversial to some people, I guess, but Katie's laughing, stop it. But that is kind of the bulk of what I've done for various fandoms. And, for the PTX fandom is probably the one that I've written the most for, but, definitely by far. And that really started I was reading and I just wasn't finding anything that I wanted to read. Like I was coming across it and I was like, this isn't what I would choose to read, and no one seems to be writing what I would choose to read, so I guess I'll just do it myself. So that's kind of how I got started in pentatonics writing. And as they're less active now and there's not much to say really about their stuff anymore, I'm trying to break into other stuff, but it's difficult, like when you don't have a built-in audience of people to read and care about it. So that's tough. But on a more like, I don't know if you'd call it professional. I mean, I guess, but my mom and I actually wrote a series of books about airplane travel, and it's on Amazon now. It's called the Gate to Gate trilogy if you want to check it out. But
so cool that y'all did that.
Yeah,
I'll
it
pull
was
this up ASAP. What is it called?
Gate to Gate trilogy. The boarding pass is the first one. So yeah, I don't know. My mom she traveled for her job, and we've always been big airplane travelers, and she just got an idea for a book while she was traveling one day and was like, this would be really cool. And we kind of played around with it. And then, life happened. My daughter was born, my grandfather passed away, and we just didn't, really pull the trigger on it. And then we finally decided to do it. So, yeah.
That is super cool. I haven't done anything like that in my life. That's fantastic.
She's casually saying like, yeah, we wrote a trilogy.
Yeah.
Get it on Amazon.
Yeah, I love that you've gotten to experience, like you may not have, taken that down as your full career, but you've like you said, you've had some awesome experiences, have your own, band that you do on the music side. You've published some work. You've really gotten to like just experience a lot.
Yeah, it was important to me to be able to do all of that stuff while still being able to, be a wife and mom that's like engaged with that. I think, you just hear too many people talk about, oh, I never get to spend time with my kids, and I just never want to be, that person. So,
and she's Karen cares, like, is such a phenomenal mom. Like, literally, like, she is always like, what else can I do about this, or what's happening with this? Like, she's so in tuned, like, of like the needs and like where, like it's just really cool. From like,
she's a special kid. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, Chris and I weren't able to have children on our own, so she's actually adopted, and so I think there's this extra like level of, I got to make sure that I'm doing everything possible right by her, since she kind of came to me in a non-conventional way. And so, yeah, there are definitely more days than not that I wake up going, I am completely screwing this kid up. She's a mess, but like,
she's the coolest.
She's pretty
ever.
cool. She plays
I see her all the time
talking.
whenever we do the podcast.
Yes.
Like it's always so cool to see her pop in. She's
on the archery team at school. She's plays softball. Like, she's a cool kid. She's pretty cool.
You
Thanks
need to
to
give
you
yourself
and your
props for
husband.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, we try. She's going through a daddy's girl phase right now, which is, fine. I know she's going to come back to me eventually.
Yeah.
right now, yeah, he's pretty much he hangs the moon, and that's, which I agree, he absolutely does. So he's a great dad. So yeah,
y'all are great parents.
I have to read, there's a little about the author part. It says Karen's first airplane trip was when she was just 4 months old, and like her mother has been on at least 100 flights, including 2 trips to Italy.
That's correct. Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, the Italy trips were what I mentioned before, my a cappella choir in high school. The year before I joined it, they went to Washington, D.C., and they won that competition that got to go to Italy. And I didn't think I was going to get to go because I wasn't in the group that won that. And so I had to fight for my spot, but they decided I was cool enough to go, I guess. So we went to Italy to compete, and then we won that competition. So we got to go back the next year for the Jubilee. So
that's so cool.
Yeah. So very, very cool. I got to sing in Notre Dame. I got to sing. Yeah, it's very, very cool. A lot of really cool experiences on that trip. So
would you say travel is still an integral part of like who you are now, or do you still get to travel quite a bit? I mean, COVID times, but obviously.
COVID times, not so much. I actually flew for the first time out to California just a couple weeks ago, and Katie was there as well. And that's the first flight I've been on, oh my gosh, over 2 years. So it definitely puts a damper on it. My child is not a plane person. So we definitely do our travel by car since she's come along, but we've tried to get her, to a lot of fun places, but mostly more local. Yeah, there's definitely moments where I miss being able to do bigger trips, but you know, flying 3 people is kind of a lot these days.
Mhm.
So
Especially with a young one, yeah.
yes,
Or like a kid, you know, a kid, a child, yeah. That's
for sure. Yeah.
Okay, I have a what if question for you. Hussein, can I ask?
Okay.
Go for it.
Okay.
All right. So this goes back to your writing, right? What if you were let's imagine you as a full-time writer, right? What if you were a full-time writer? What would you write about? And I think you already touched on it a little bit, but if you have anything to add.
I mean, I feel like back in the day, I definitely was. I'm gonna write the next great American novel. You know, I'm gonna be that girl that New York Times bestseller girl. And then I went through a phase of like, just churn it out. Like, I feel like people that are more prolific, you're gonna make more money that way, even if it's not that good. And then I've read a lot where I'm like, I could do better than that. Where you want to kind of take existing genres that are less, maybe a little bit less respected. I feel like romance novels get a really bad rap, like for being just badly written. And I would love to, be the person that does better.
Fixes them
But
up.
but that's a great question. I mean, I have at this moment probably about 20 chapter ones or like outlines
Whoa.
for things like, and I'll get really gung-ho about it, and then it's like I'll take it forward in my brain and I'll extrapolate and I'll be like, that sucks, and I won't finish it. And so I think if I had time, if I had the ability to be full-time, I think I would finish everything that I've started and maybe come up with something. I have a full-length, like, original novel that some friends of mine have practically murdered me at this point for not submitting to an agent. And and that was like going to be my big 2020 goal. And then COVID was like, you're hilarious. So I don't know. Maybe someday.
Let's make it your 2022 goal.
Maybe so.
I hope it happens.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. Me too.
That's awesome. That's really, really cool. I feel like there's so many things that, even though I've talked to you both so much, I feel like I'm still learning so much, which is really cool. So we wanted to talk about a couple other topics and kind of delve a little deeper into those subjects as well. So one of our topics was around social media. And I feel like, social media has played such a large part in all of our lives in different ways. And I'm curious, from your perspectives, the pros and cons, and overall, how has social media really impacted you in what ways?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I did not have a Twitter account until Superfruit became a thing, and they were releasing things on Twitter and not on Facebook. And I was late. I was missing stuff. And I was like, I guess I'm going to have to get a Twitter account. And very shortly after I joined Twitter, I met Allie and Sarah Elliott. And those two people kind of guided me to, I guess, the cool side of the Pentatonics fandom very early on. And I'm grateful for that, because if I'd just been on my own, I probably would have, who knows what would have happened. But so, and my initial reaction is thank goodness, because, I found Pentatonics, and every fandom I found was because I was at a point where I was feeling alone and I wanted a connection to someone. And this was like a ready-made connection to people, and that I could kind of give what I wanted to give and hold back what I wanted to hold back until I was sure about a person. I felt in control of those relationships, and I really enjoyed, having an escape from reality. It didn't feel real, like, honestly, at the beginning. It just felt like oh, I'm just talking to these people that aren't real. And then as I grew to know you guys, and then we started doing, Indie Squad and Pentacon and all this stuff, and you guys became real to me, that was, I'm extremely grateful for it. The downside being there is that anonymity that comes, that people just slide in and they can just ruin your day and slide out and not think twice about you. And that's going to live rent free in my head forever. And that happens very frequently on social media. And like, I've had to make a big effort of, I don't have to join every discourse that I see that bothers me. I don't have to comment on it. I don't have to even look at it. I can just scroll on. And, being an adult and being able to do that, is is necessary, because I see a lot of people that just can't not engage. And I think they make themselves miserable. And so I think, social media has given us a lot of tools, and the way we use those tools helps determine what kind of experience we have. I've chosen to make it a positive one, but I know a lot of people have not. So
as a parent, that adds a whole other layer to that as 100%. Well, right? Like, how do you 100%. Imagine as your daughter grows up and interacts with social media, like what impacts does that have on a new generation?
I mean, I'm kind of the lame mom that I'm like, I have a 10-year-old. I try not to be that person, because I didn't even have an option to have a cell phone until I was like 18, 19 years old, because they did not exist yet. So I try not to be that, you don't need a phone until you're 18, because I didn't have one. I'm trying not to be that person, but she's definitely not, she doesn't have one at 10, and she's not, I mean, already, she's just playing on the Chromebook, looking through, like, even YouTube Kids can link her out to things that are inappropriate, and she'll get ads for things that she'll, if she's not paying attention, she can click on. And there's a lot of stuff that is terrifying out there, and
it's so scary.
Strangers that are talking to her. And I'm like, no. So I've had to really, I hate just limiting her access to stuff to just TV, but I'm like, I can't, that's the only thing I can control, is like, you can have Netflix, on the kids station and whatever, but I don't let her do like Roblox or any of that stuff where people can talk to you, because I don't know who they are. Like, they could be pretending who they are, and that's just a little too much for me as a mom. So for the time being, there's just, I mean, it's absolutely limited. I have no idea how I'm going to handle it when she actually has to have something with full access, because it's not just inappropriate content, it's just inappropriate people that just they don't understand boundaries. And I mean, a 10-year-old doesn't understand that she can say, I don't want to talk to you, to someone that, I think that's hard to explain. Like, we, be polite, but don't talk to that person. Like, it's a confusing,
Well, and then there's that, like, the innocence too, of like,
absolutely,
they're not going to hurt me. Like, no, like, why would they, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I don't think you're being a lame or like boring mom at all. I think you're being a very cautious and like smart mom about me being not a mom, you being the only mom in the chat. But like, legitimately, like, that's so, I think, important to deal with and like, or to figure out. And I don't know, like, I grew up, Facebook had just started when I was like in high school.
Okay.
Like early high school, I'm pretty sure. And so like, it was very new, this idea of like, I mean, we did like instant messaging and stuff like that, like all of this stuff.
AOL, remember that?
AOL.
Oh, AOL.
With like your away message. And
that
like,
door opening sound. I still have like nightmares of that sound.
Oh my gosh.
MySpace and
oh my gosh, MySpace, and like finding your top 8
and that
like,
perfect background song.
Yes. I
had a John Mayer song. That's how cool I was. Good
Lord. What was mine? Mine was the Rusted Root, On My Way from Matilda. The On My Way.
Of course it is, Katie. Okay, go ahead.
But Twitter specifically, am not a super confident person, and like Twitter just seemed like not every fandom, but like the pentatonic that's a good question.
You can continue. I didn't mean to interrupt, but
No,
I want to
no.
know. I want to know.
Oh, but like everybody in the pentatonics fandom was just like what it seemed like, this like tight knit, amazing community that was super supportive and friendly. And like, as one of the like, I grew up a major theater kid, and like I was that theater geek in high school, but when I went to college I didn't do theater, and so I was kind of used to my group of friends like not freaking out with me about like Broadway stuff or whatever. So the fact that like I had this group of people, when I was freaking out about a pentatonic song, they were as well, and like we could do it together, and it was so wonderful. And I really think one of the beautiful things of social media is like this like level of like camaraderie and like excitement and like happiness. But then also, again, I told you, small South Georgia town, tiny town. I have also really seen social media as a great way for me to just sit back and listen and be educated by people that like on topics that I don't know enough about. And I think Karen had a really excellent point of like, you don't have to be. I have a problem when people use their social media as like, I have a public platform, and like every single thought that comes out of my like comes into my head needs to be said out loud. And because sometimes the most valuable thing you can do is sit there and listen, and be educated and use those resources to make an informed opinion, and you know what I mean, and like you know, learn from it. So I think that's really cool. But then Karen, you're coming at it from like a mom's perspective of like, I can't control like what's going on and what's scary. My students are, which again, it's not even like as close, whatever, but like we're trying to teach internet safety and, you know, being cautious and stuff like that. But it's this thing where, and I'm sure, like, I bet it's even more tenfold when it comes to you. You can teach it and you can do this and you can do that, but it's like always like the one thing that you haven't said yet, or the one situation that it is really kind of scary. That I think is a downside. But then also, this is coming from a non-confident person, and it's already happened twice this episode. Second guessing everything you say, because like the world of social media, it stays forever. You can delete it, you can do this, that, or the other. It's there, and it'll be there forever. And you know, you've got things like cancel culture, and you know, I get really scared to say different, you know, or like, oh, I didn't say this.
It's a bummer both ways, because you're either like, oh my gosh, she says everything that comes into her head, or oh my gosh, she hasn't said anything about this. Like, you can get in trouble either way, and that's what I don't like about
either way.
I mean, I think there's somewhere along the line, who I follow on Twitter became who I endorse on Twitter, and that's not always true. When I remember when Trump became president and he took over the POTUS account, I actually had, I mean, dozens of like children in my DMs screaming at me because I followed the POTUS account, because I was still following it from when Obama was president. And like, that shows that you support him. And I was like, it doesn't. I'm just like, it doesn't. I'm like, I'm keeping an eye on it because it's the president's Twitter. And I remember feeling like, do I need to unfollow? Like, so that I don't get yelled at? Like, because, you know, like I said, somewhere along the line, who you follow then becomes like who you support and endorse. And I was like, I was just trying to keep an eye on that level of crazy. And now I feel like I can't do that. So, so you create like a list of people that you don't necessarily follow, but you do want to like look at, like, so that people don't think you're following them. It's just, it's a lot. It's too much. So
It's started to like, I feel like there's a lot of like blurring the lines on so many different things, because now we're in a digital world where there's so many different types of digital interactions, right? And so that's one of the, the questions I had in regards to it, is like the fact that I feel like a lot of us have friends that we've made online via social media, and the differences in having kind of a more online friendship, or the challenges that can come with handling that type of a friendship, right? Like,
Yeah.
whether somebody likes something or not, what does that mean or not? Like, how do you deal with it? Like, I feel like, with us, I mean, we've met in person a couple times, but largely our friendship started and is pretty much online.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, I'm
how does
pretty
that
sure
affect
you're just like a
friendship?
pixelated like holograph at this point, because I haven't seen you in
Right.
so long. But that's a major thing. And I think that everyone's gonna agree about there's two phases of this situation. Like, I'm gonna use me and Karen flew out to see one of our friends and fellow Penaholic, so my sorority, like wonderful human, Liz Lott, get married in California. And obviously me and Karen have talked via Zoom since every other week this whole time,
Right.
like basically whatever. So like we've gone through the pandemic together.
Yes.
I have seen Missa. She was the last plane trip I took before COVID. Like, we talk all the time. Like, I've had all these like social media or not social media, but like more virtual interactions. But before those trips, you have this like, is it gonna be weird to be in person? Like, is it gonna be awkward?
Sure.
Like, is it gonna be like, we don't have anything to talk about, we're just gonna like stare at each other kind of situation? And then you see each other and it's wonderful and it's great, and you're like, this is the best thing ever. What was I even thinking about? But then it's over, and you have this immediate like, they don't like me anymore. They're like not with them anymore, because like it's just so like you're not with them anymore. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, you're not living that day. It's not like you're seeing a friend at school every day. Like, it's, you're there. It's a very short period of time, and then you're gone. Like, it's like camp kind of.
But like a long distance relationship.
It kind of is. Like, she goes back to being like, like just the picture of the smiling Katie that types things in my group chat. Like, that face is who you become to me. And then like, it's better with you because I do see you on Zoom a lot more than others. But like, in the case of like Missa and Sarah, it's like, I don't see their faces. And then all of a sudden I'm seeing them and I'm like, oh, right, that's what your face looks like, because I haven't seen you in so long, because people look different in their pictures. So yeah, and then definitely the idea of, okay, now we have to go back to this. It's not fake or forced or anything when it's an online, but it's definitely, you're still only getting a portion. You're still only getting a portion, because there are things that we're choosing not to share. Even us, that we do talk a lot and we are very brutally honest with each other. Like, there's still, when I hang up this call and I have to go and, do dishes and be angry about that. Like, I'm not sharing, like, there's just, there's
like
pieces
in California, I was sitting on the couch when Karen did dishes. Everything is just different now.
I know. You should, yes. You should have been playing with my hair tonight instead of just being in South Carolina. It's
maybe it's just a way of life telling us that when we do have those moments together in real life, we really need to cherish them, enjoy them, so that we can.
Instead of, there were a few moments when we're
to see each other again.
Yeah,
right?
There were a few moments when we're all together and we were all on our phones, and I just wanted to scream. I wanted to scream at everybody, because we were just like, we haven't been together in over 3 years, and we're just sitting here like, I don't know, scrolling Twitter.
Did you notice throughout the weekend that started happening less?
It did, for sure. I think
I fully believe that it was like a comfort.
It's a reflex for me.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It was like a comfort thing to like be here, and like it was kind of like
Mhm.
then
Like,
you
I've
were
seen
like-
you virtually for so long. Let me talk to you virtually for a little bit.
Kind
Right.
of. I mean, Katie and I
get
absolutely
comfortable.
did tweet each other from across the room. So yeah, that did
You
happen.
started that 100%.
I don't know about that, but but yeah, I think we definitely by the end it was like the only time we were on our phones was because we were taking pictures and sharing pictures. We weren't, definitely, oh, I gotta scroll TikTok for an hour even though I'm sitting next to a person I've been missing, like, but there was that. I don't know. I think I know I have a serious phone addiction. On Sunday, do you get like the report, the
Yes.
screen report, and I just want to be dead because I just am on my phone way too much. But I think it's just I mean, I've got it right here, and I'm just like I was tapping it to like check the time, check what my notifs are and stuff. So it's definitely an addiction. It's definitely all consuming, and the more apps that come out, I might be like an old lady about it. I'm like, I'm not doing another app, and then like 10 minutes later I'm definitely downloading it and getting involved in it. But I still feel like I'm happier having that connection to people through Twitter that I wouldn't have had. I mean, like there's no way that Katie and I ever would have met. Like there's no way. Like without it. We just would not have overlapped. And like there's no way, Hassan, that you and I would have ever, like, we would never would have met. Like, so just geographically, whatever, like we just never would have.
It's hard
Even if
to
we were
explain
Pentatonics fans, we wouldn't have been
too.
at the same show. So yeah.
It's hard to explain.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What do you mean? Can you try your best to explain? Even though
like-
it's hard.
Like Liz's dad
Sorry.
came
Oh
up
my
to
gosh,
us
Liz's
at the
dad,
wedding, and he was desperately trying. Like he knew we were like the Pentatonics
Oh,
friends.
you're the Pentatonics friends. Yeah.
And so it was this weird, like, so did y'all go to school together? No, like, did
I
you
see.
go to? No, we met online.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Would you
Like,
say that
like
like
the fact that like you are able to form these
mhm.
like legit strong, like amazing. Like I talked to like Kieran and Missa and probably Hassan in like the group chat
Mhm.
almost
every day.
Yeah, as much as like my college best friend. You
Yeah.
know, like the bond is just as close,
Mhm.
which is weird.
That's pretty cool. I mean, I can say when I moved to New York, Hassan and I kept in touch through Zoom and like, online basically. So that kept our
Mhm.
friendship going. So I'm grateful for that too. So in some way I can relate, but I'm
Yeah.
I'm a little bit more social media averse than than most of you. So
That's okay. We've tagged you along to everything else.
yeah. So and
Yeah, look
and
at you.
also I'm grateful for you all just like, including me from time to time, letting me be a part of it. And
Of course.
just wanted to throw that out there.
Pentaholics will get you. They'll drag you in. They'll hang on to you.
Yeah.
You can try to leave, but you can't. You really
Won't work.
can't.
Just won't work.
I mean, y'all are wonderful people, so there's no reason to leave. If
That's nice.
I'm being honest.
And I think that is kind of it, because like we came to a point, and I definitely do have plenty of Pentatonics acquaintances that I talk to about band stuff and band stuff only. And then there's that. Then there's the circle that is, the deeper friendships that are the ones that it's like, we haven't talked about the band in this group chat in a month, and it doesn't matter because we're talking about our own lives and our own stuff, and we're invested in each other, and that's really cool. And and then when we kind of start to pick up other things, like I'm a K-pop fan and I'm into that, and and we're talking about other stuff, like being able to share that stuff and not feel like, oh, I can only talk about this with you because this is this is the extent of our friendship. So I'm very grateful for all of the friends that I've made in this fandom, and grateful definitely for the ones that I feel like are truly friends beyond the fandom, which I think is important. If you're going to be as invested, like time-wise, in something social media related, I think you should have that to get out of it and not just kind of surface level acquaintances.
Like the band is why we got there, but like
Right.
the friendships are like why we stayed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna put
But
that
the
on
band
a
should
t-shirt,
do
y'all.
more so that we can talk about them more. Like, I feel like, is that fair to say? Like, I need
No,
more.
you know I love saying this because you know I love it when I'm right about it. You're being too quiet right now. Something's
I am
up.
a little suspicious.
Something's up. It's every January. Something's
Yeah.
up. Watch them like do tour tickets like next week. Saying that out loud just made me feel sick.
Yeah.
I actually, okay, I have one last question about the whole social media thing.
Yeah.
And then, then we can stop with that. I'm just curious. I know with everything that we've talked about, and I know, Katie, you're hanging there. I'm sorry for the lateness today.
No, I'm good. I'm so sorry. I'm good.
No, I know y'all are tired. I know it's 11, so at least here on the East Coast.
It's only 10 for me. It's fine.
Yeah. Katie, you're on the East Coast, right?
I am. But I'm awake.
No, you're good. You're good. I just want to be mindful, and thank you again for both of you for being flexible today. But in terms of social media, building friendships online, inevitably, I think some of your self-identity and self-worth maybe gets tied into that, right? So how do you in a healthy manner, how do you separate yourself from that? And what's been kind of like the challenges in terms of drawing those boundaries for each of you?
I mean, the first thing for me, I would have to say for sure is I made a point from the very beginning to give absolutely no weight whatsoever to how many followers I had. So I went into it with like, I'm not trying to be famous or important or anything. Like, I had no interest in that. I got to a comfortable level of people that I was following, and then I don't follow anymore. Like, I'll get requests and I'm like, okay, like, or people will follow me and I'm like, whatever. Like, if I don't know you, I'm not going to follow back. So, and I don't necessarily, I don't know, that sounds kind of mean, but like, I have a limit as to how much I can take in. And, so as far as, I don't know, I just saw too many people in the beginning. Ooh, I have 500 followers now. Ooh, I have 2,000 followers now. And I was like, so you don't know them. I would rather have, 20 people that I know and love than 2,000 people that I don't know their names. So that was important to me to like have that not be a metric for me. And in terms of, I'm in the same way, if I post something and nobody likes it or like nobody comments on it, like that hurt my feelings in the beginning of like, it feels like you're just kind of screaming into the void and nobody cares. And I know that there are people that have been on Twitter for years and still feel that way because they haven't really found their circle or
True. Oh no.
Aren't around. And I know you can feel like, oh, she hates me. She didn't like my tweet. And I'm like, like, he's busy, y'all. That's fine.
I love that. I love that so much. I struggle with this because I struggle with like, wanting to make sure that no one like hates me or no one thinks that like I'm trying to like offend anybody or anything like that. But I feel like two big things have really kind of helped me with this. One is my friend Kenna is the first to tell me whenever I'm like, do you think anyone's gonna worry, blah, 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 blah. We're all normal people living our day-to-day lives.
Yeah.
Here to support a band. Like none of us are important enough at the end of the day to where we need to worry about like having a PR manager like, oh my gosh, I said blah blah blah. Like you're not that important. If you have good intentions and a good heart, like just stick to that. And then also, when I feel myself starting to have those like social media, like if I'm noticing myself like extra, like, well, no one's, this person's mad at me, or this person's not interacting, or honestly, a lot of times too, when I see like arguing online a lot that I just get really upset by, I think social media like detox breaks are amazing, where you just like put your phone down for like it's like delete Twitter for a couple days, or put your phone down for a couple hours, like, you know, just get away from it and realize that, guess what, all of that went on without you, and it's going to continue to move on without you.
Okay, controversial question on that. Do you announce that you're taking a Twitter break, or do you just take it?
Because I'm not that important.
Okay.
I'm not that important.
Yeah, no, I feel like that's a good question, because you definitely do see people like that. They're like, I will be gone, you know, for this many hours or this many days.
No, and they're
See
going to say,
back.
that was the last straw. I'm getting off this app. I'm no one more thing. And then like 5 minutes they're back. And I'm like,
is it like a cry for attention?
I have such
please somebody listen to me.
I know that there are people that do that with the good intention of, I don't want you to worry about me if you don't see anything from me in the next couple of days, but I'm going to be, I understand like that might be where that's coming from, but
people who would worry about me though have my number.
True. But I do feel like,
AKA Missa would be like, where are you?
You haven't, but then, I mean, on the flip side of that, there are times when I'm like, I haven't tweeted in 3 days and no one has cared. Like no one has, I mean, I'm still in my DMs. I don't tweet as much, but I talk in my DMs, and everyone that would care about me knows that I'm alive. So, but yeah, I do wonder sometimes. I'm like, no one said anything.
But that's kind of like the identity and, you know, worth and all that kind of stuff that I was talking about. Because sometimes, I mean, I'm not much on social media now, except, you know, here and there. But sometimes you get so bogged down in it that it's hard to separate. And I know, Katie, you mentioned when you were at the wedding, it's Liz, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You were saying like Liz's dad was like having a hard time understanding. I think that's part of it, right? It just made me wonder if that's also like part of it, because their generation grew up with, you know, so
for sure.
For sure. And it like strange, like how like that would be like a weird thing, like you met on the internet and now it's like very common. And I feel like we could do y'all could do a whole nother episode on this, but I'm noticing with my students, and Karen, I'm really interested to hear what you have to say about this. But you know, my students were in first grade when they had to go virtual for like learning, and a lot of them, I have 4 whose parents chose for them to do virtual school last year too, so they haven't been in the classroom since first grade. And academic gaps, obviously we're going to see them, we're going to have them, but the social gaps, like the actual, like how to interact with people face to face, how do I problem solve and not just like sit at a computer screen frozen, those are the gaps that I'm worried about. And I think that's like a really like solid point to like what we were talking about with like interacting virtually versus like face to face. And like I feel like it's so important for us to have those like meetups, like going to Liz's wedding or Pinnacon or things like that, because it's a different interaction. And I think those help you learn how to make sure that you are taking stock in your actual self-worth as a person versus your virtual presence, because sometimes those can get very wrapped up. And like I worry about that with some of the next generation, because everything is so virtual and so hidden behind a screen for so many things.
And it's a hard line because I mean, we are talking about being in a pandemic that is a very real concern. And it's like, you want to keep them physically safe. And then, but and there's going to be a cost for that. And it's like, so you have to look at it of, do we put them at a physical risk to help ensure that they have,
Right.
socially and emotionally rich education, or I mean, I definitely can see why it's an argument and why it varies from state to state. I mean, here in Oklahoma, it's just a free for all now. Like, I mean, nobody has any guidelines or rules or anything. Everyone's just in there breathing all over each other. So it's just how it is. And other states are like, pretty serious about masking and, and vaccines and stuff. And, because the kids, I mean, none of this is their fault. And so it's hard to, let them be this ball that we're fighting over, when they don't even know why. But speaking as, for my child only, she absolutely did not thrive in a virtual environment.
Yeah.
Not only because I am not a teacher for a very specific list of reasons, but because I think the presence of other people at her level gives her confidence. If I'm sitting there, I think she sees me, kind of coming down the mountain with all of this knowledge about a thing. And she's like, I don't know anything. I don't know. You answer it. I don't know anything. And I could feel her kind of locking up on me. And I didn't have the tools to change because I was not given them and not given a lot of support from my school, unfortunately. But to set her down in front of a computer and say, read the directions and answer the question was not something that was working for her. And, and so having to sit here and be like, I feel like kind of a bad mom throwing her into the petri dish that is public school right now, but also knowing that, educationally, she's not going to thrive at home. So yeah, it's a thing that I think every parent has to answer for themselves. And, that's the choice that we made on that.
Yeah, that's where I feel like there's just a whole other layer added because of the pandemic. When we're talking about social media or other topics, it's just been, just a whole set of unexpected other challenges to deal with. But it's really interesting hearing, both of your perspectives and your sides going through all this. And I appreciate you both sharing, your thoughts and everything tonight on social media and these other subjects as well, because I think I feel like there's so much more to say on that, and I'd love to really maybe we have like a second a part 2 one day and really get you both back here and dive further into some subjects, because it's just been so cool getting to hear from both of you on your experiences. But
I agree.
That I did want to, thank you both for sharing your thoughts. I did want to, since you both are on another podcast, just briefly, just mention what that is, and I may know a little bit, but I want to hear it from both of you on what is this podcast? How did it get started?
About 2.5 years ago, this really weird dude on the interwebs sent us this message and was like, "Hi, I heard that you're a fan of this band that doesn't use any instruments. Their name is Philharmonic. And can you please start a podcast about them?" Thank you.
He said all this in an accent, right?
Exactly.
100%.
Yeah, I know.
Dude
sounds really weird.
Yeah. He's been known to put on a Power Ranger costume sometimes. Anyways, so Hassan, actually, this is Hassan's brainchild, but we have a podcast named That's PTX to Me, where we one gush over everything they have going on, celebrate everything that they're doing. But then we also kind of delve into like the fandom. What's happening in the fandom? What's going on? What are we talking about? We like to share. Karen is like our expert guide to guide us through like our songs of the week each week, which has been very fun to kind of.
Yes, you'd be surprised at how eclectic the three of us are in our music taste. And then other weeks it's like, these are all off the same album. How did we do that? Like, yeah, so I don't know.
We're all Hamilton.
It's very fun. Hamilton, yeah.
And then we're just really bad at doing the games.
So bad at games
that I come up with. Yeah. Sometimes I just fail.
I have to ask. So, how do people get? Like, how can people listen to your podcast? How can they, chime in?
You can find us anywhere podcasts are available. Podbean, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Spotify.
Yes.
How'd I do?
What's the other one?
Wait, hold on. Welcome to.
There's another one.
Me. The voices. Hello and welcome. This is Hudson. I'm trying to. I can't remember.
Go back to the script.
Yeah.
I don't like what Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon.
Google. That's
I
the
miss
one.
Google. We miss Google.
There's a bunch. It's out there.
Give us a rating.
The best way, just that's ptx2me.com.
Okay, I was gonna say, do you have a website as well?
We do. Well, yeah.
We're working with Hudson, so of course,
yeah.
He set that up like
that's
day
ptx2me.com.
Yeah.
Send us an email. That's ptx2me@gmail.com.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. It's it links
redirect
to a Podbean account, I think.
Yep.
Okay. Yep.
Exactly.
So I'll post that here, and I'll also post that in the YouTube chat in case. Oh wait, you did. Okay, yeah, you beat me to it.
Udit, I was 14 when I got my first cell phone, but I shared it with my sisters because it was like a whoever needed it on the day type situation, and it was like a track phone. So like you had like a certain amount of minutes. So if I had like play practice, I would get the phone. But if my sister, yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I got my first cell phone at 17.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like I know in high school it was one of those basic phones, and then later got an actual smartphone. But
I got
my
a
mom
Razor.
had one, and I used it.
Yeah.
Razor.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I had a Razor. I didn't have my own until after my first semester at college, and I racked up this huge long distance bill calling Chris. Who's now, and my mom was like, get a cell phone. I was like, okay.
That's funny.
I know. And now I can't get him on the phone for like 2 minutes. Like he's like, just text me. He's just like me. He's like, we don't need to talk. Just text me.
I feel bad that kids today will never know the beauty of like hanging up like your cell phone. Like
that's
like, you know what I mean? Like that.
Or even hanging
I'm
up
mad at you.
a landline phone. I love hanging up a landline phone. Oof.
It's wonderful.
They'll get to do it at work, hopefully. I enjoy hanging up at work. So. Click. Goodbye.
It's very satisfying.
It is.
Well, that's really cool. Sounds like a great podcast. I'll go check that out. Thanks for sharing that as well. So everyone, go check out That's PTX to Me. Really cool, fun time with these fun people here. And so we do want to also give an opportunity, Katie and Karen, for you to share how people can get in touch with you as well through social media.
You go first, Katie.
I am C Hancock 223 on Instagram, and Kat Hancock on Twitter.
And I am That Karen Girl on Twitter. That's at KPICK81, and on Instagram it's KLPickens81.
Awesome. Well, thank you both again.
Also, check out Karen's book on
Amazon.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Make my mom's day. Go buy her book. She would be so happy. So
that's super, super cool. thank you both again for joining us.
Sure.
Truly,
Thank
truly.
you.
Thanks for
Appreciate
asking
it.
us. This was
This
fun.
was so fun. Should we have Udit on our podcast? Can he be
I
the
think we
Valentine?
should.
Well, I would love that. Yeah.
Let's make it happen.
Let's do it.
It's up to you. But yeah,
Reciprocity.
let's discuss that. Let's wrap up and then maybe we can discuss that. And also I'd love to just chat with you for a little bit. I know it's getting late too
No, sure.
for at least for Katie for sure. So and for Hassan, I'm guessing. Karen, you've got a little bit more time. But yeah, I'd love to chat for a little bit off the podcast and
Sure.
just catch up. But Hassan, do you wanna?
Yeah, so I'll round things out here. So you can find us on Twitter at the Dose of Desi, and our email is the Dose of Desi pod@gmail.com. So go check that out and let us know what you think.
That's right, and keep an eye on any social media for any polls or episode notifications as well. It's been a fun episode. Thank you again, Karen and Katie, and take care and see you all next time.